What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. In this video, I'm going to test the penetration of some 44 Magnum full metal jacket ammunition, and I'm going to be shooting some 44 Magnum full metal jacket loads into standard half-inch thick sheetrock or drywall. This is the type of sheetrock that 90% of houses in North America have inside on interior walls. And the standard house has several walls, and each wall is composed of 2 sheets of standard half-inch sheetrock. So after this test, hopefully we'll get an idea of how many houses 44 Magnum full metal jacket loads could penetrate through. So the ammunition that I'm going to be using for this test is some Underwood ammo, 245 grain full metal jacket that's supposed to travel at 1,450 feet per second, but out of my revolver, probably 1,300 feet per second. And the revolver that I'm going to be using in this test is a Smith & Wesson Model 629 Performance Center with a 2 5/8 inch barrel. I've done a review on this revolver. I absolutely love it. I've had it for probably 4 years now, and I absolutely love this revolver. I know there's a lot of people out there that trash talk Smith & Wessons. I've never had a problem with this one at all. I've shot bear loads, I've shot 44 specials, and I'm just completely in love with this revolver. And the environmental conditions during this test were about 40 degrees Fahrenheit with a relative humidity of around 60% and an elevation of around 1,000 feet. And the way I'm going to set up the sheetrock is I've got this jig that I made from 2x4s that's going to hold all the sheets of sheetrock tightly together so they don't move. And you guys have probably seen this on my prior tests. So stay tuned and let's see what happens. All right, guys, welcome to the New York Prepper top secret ballistics analysis lab in rural Pennsylvania. I got the sheetrock here, and I'm going to go through it one by one and show you guys exactly what happened. So the 245 grain full metal jacket, 44 Magnum from Underwood Ammo, traveling at 1,450 feet per second, penetrated through 28 sheets of standard half-inch drywall or sheetrock. So I fired 2 shots. One shot went through 27 sheets, and the other shot went through 28 sheets. So I'm going to go through every sheet with you one by one so you can see exactly what happened. I want to just share the results of other drywall tests that I've done, and if you want to see these tests, you can check out my drywall penetration tests playlist. So the 44 Magnum Underwood Ammo 305 grain hard cast bare load penetrated through 32 sheets. This was a test that I did a few months back. The Buffalo Bore 265 grain monometal solid copper bare load penetrated through 27 sheets. This was a test I also did a few months back. So the FMJ from Underwood penetrates similar to the Buffalo Bore 265 monometal. The Hornady 240 grain XTP penetrated through 20 sheets in a prior test that I did. The Underwood Ammo 44 Special 200 grain gold dot hollow point penetrated 17 sheets in a prior test that I did. The Hornady 225 grain flex tip penetrated through 13 sheets in a prior test that I did. Now, moving on to other cartridges, 3-inch 1-ounce slug penetrated 17 sheets in a prior test that I did. 2 3/4-inch double-aught buckshot 12 gauge penetrated through 9 sheets, and that slug was also 12 gauge. I've also done 300 Win Mag tests, and in that test, the 180 grain choice ammunition solid penetrated through 88 sheets, and the Hornady Superformance 180 grain SST penetrated through 23 sheets. Some 500 Magnum tests that I did in the past, the 440 grain Buffalo Bore hard cast traveling at 1,625 feet per second penetrated through 40 sheets, and the Hornady 500 grain XTP soft point penetrated through 20 sheets. So what I'm going to do now is go through all of these sheets one by one, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull these bullets out of the sheetrock and show you them up close so we could do a further analysis to see what kind of deformation occurred, if at all. So here we have sheet number 1, sheet number 2,
sheet number 3, sheet number 4, sheet number 5, sheet number 6, sheet number 7, sheet number 8, sheet number 9, sheet number 10, sheet number 11, sheet number 12, sheet number 13, sheet number 14, sheet number 15, sheet number 16, sheet number 17, sheet number 18, sheet number 19, sheet number 20, sheet 21, sheet 22, sheet 23, sheet 24, sheet 25,
sheet 26. Now here we have sheet 27, and this is exactly how it looked. I didn't move this bullet at all. You can see it's pretty much facing forward with a slight angle, okay? You can see it has a slight angle. It's not perfectly straight, but that's to be expected because the nose does not have a super wide me-plat. Okay, it's not like a hard cast bullet that has a very large me-plat. This has a smaller me-plat. And if you don't know what a me-plat is, that's just the flat part of the nose of a bullet. But still, it maintained a pretty straight line. It didn't veer off course. It didn't tumble or anything. So I'm going to do further tests with this load. I think this could be a great bear defense load. I'm going to test this in some 2x10s and some plywood and some other materials. And I'm also going to try to get some ballistics gel and test this in ballistics gel because I think this is a very viable option for bear defense or any situation where you need penetration. I like to actually put this load in my concealed carry weapon. And the reason why is just in case I'm in a situation where I need to penetrate. It's good to have some ammunition that can penetrate through hard objects like walls, cars, body armor. So I actually will put this in my concealed carry weapon and alternate it with some soft points and hollow points. But that's what one of the rounds looks like here. Okay, you can see not a perfect straight line. So as you can see, a slight angle, but still 27 sheets of penetration. That's the same amount as the Buffalo Bore 265 grain monometal. Now look at the 28th sheet here. All right, this is our deepest penetrating bullet right here. Okay, you can see perfect nose forward position. This is exactly how I found it. I did not move this bullet at all. All right, you can see it's pretty much nose forward, and there's the me-plat there. There's the front of that bullet. So I'm going to pull these bullets out. I'm going to weigh them, and we're going to take a closer look. I'm pretty sure they had 100% weight retention. And here's a dent in the 29th sheet. So this is a massive amount of penetration, guys. This is probably a really good bear load. I'll have to do more testing with it, especially on harder objects. I don't know how thick the copper jacket is on that full metal jacket, so I'm going to do further testing, but I do think this has some potential for being a good bear load. So 28 sheets of penetration with the 44 Magnum, 245 grain full metal jacket from Underwood Ammo, traveling at 1,450 feet per second out of my 2 5/8 inch barrel snub nose Smith & Wesson model 629. The actual velocity is probably going to be around 1,300 feet per second. And I've done a lot of chronograph tests with my revolver that I used in this test. So I'll leave a link up above if you want to check those chronograph tests out, but I lose about 150 to 200 feet per second from factory printed numbers with my snub nose. But stay tuned and let's take a closer look at the bullets. All right, guys, so I pulled the bullets out and I cleaned them up, and you can see that there was no deformation whatsoever. You can see the nose is 100% intact, no deformation whatsoever, guys. Look at that. Just the perfect bullet. Look at the rifling marks on that jacket there. So this could be a viable bear defense option. I'm going to do some more testing on some hard objects like concrete blocks and wood and different things. But I really like this load. It has moderate recoil. It was pleasant to shoot. It had a nice kick to it, but it didn't sting my hand too bad. And you could do a pretty rapid follow-up shot. So there's the base of these bullets here. Let me show you guys the base. Everything looks good here. Okay, so I'm going to weigh these bullets now, and we're going to see what kind of weight retention we got, but I'm pretty sure it should be 100%. But stay tuned for that. All right, guys, so I'm going to zero out the scale for you. And I'm going to take my 100-gram weight here and make sure the scale is zeroed out. So let's just test it. Make sure the scale is zeroed. 100 grains. I'm sorry, 100 grams, not 100 grains. Okay. So I'm going to switch it over to grains now. And let's start weighing our bullets. 245.8. Okay. Now let's check this one. 245.2. 245.1. Let's try this one again. 245.7. Seems like one of these bullets is just a little bit heavier, and I don't know if that's just because there's some drywall embedded in the crimping groove. Doesn't look like there is, or it could just be inconsistency in the bullet manufacturer. I don't know who makes these bullets for Underwood. Could be Magtech, but there's the crimping groove. Just a beautiful bullet, guys. Look at this thing. Zero deformation. I do think this is a pretty thick jacket. I can tell just by looking at it. You know, I analyze a lot of bullets, and I can just tell that this thing has a pretty thick jacket. I might try to get a hacksaw and cut this in half, and I'll probably do a future video on that. I'm going to try to get a hacksaw and cut this thing in half. I'm curious how thick this jacket is, especially at the nose. It looks pretty thick, but I do think that this is a viable bear defense option. I do think that this is a great load to mix in with your hollow points and your soft points, because there may be situations where you have to penetrate through a wall or through a car or through body armor, or if you're dealing with a bear or an elk that's, you know, during the rut raging on testosterone and tries to charge you, you need something that can penetrate deep. Now, if we figure that one wall has 2 sheets of sheetrock, and you figure the average house has probably 3 or 4 interior walls, if you do the math, this load penetrated through 28 sheets. So you have 4 walls, let's say, in a house with sheetrock on them. 4 times 2 is 8. And if we do 28 divided by 8, we're going to get around 3.5 houses. So that's something to keep in mind. You know, this load could possibly penetrate through several houses, meaning if you live in a suburban area, you do not want to use this as a home defense round. If you live in a trailer park or an apartment complex, same thing. If you shoot this at a bad guy, it will probably go through the bad guy, through your house, and through every house on your block, and then maybe through a few houses on the next block, okay? So that's something to keep in mind. But if you live in the country like me and your next door neighbor is a cow, you don't really need to worry about that. But I think this is a great bear defense option, and I do think that everybody should keep some kind of penetrating round on their person when they're concealed carrying. Doesn't necessarily have to be in your magazine or in your revolver, but you should keep some kind of penetrating rounds on your person in case you find yourself in a situation where a bad guy is wearing armor, or the bad guy is hiding behind some kind of hard object and you need to punch through that object to hit the bad guy. Hollow points are not going to do that. Frangibles are not going to do that. You need something solid. You need a solid bullet or an FMJ. So I always recommend everybody keep a spare magazine full of FMJ, or a spare speed loader loaded up with some full metal jackets or solids of some kind in case you do need that penetration. But stay tuned to my channel for more testing with this load and many others. You can always check my playlists. I've done probably over 100 different types of ballistics tests so far on my channel, so please go and watch them. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. And again, 28 sheets of sheetrock with the Underwood ammo, 44 Magnum, 245 grain full metal jacket traveling at 1,450 feet per second. Take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.